Hi, everyone. Again, my name is Susan So, and I am the Engagement Platform Consultant for the elementary panel. Before we get started, I'm just going to show you how to pin the tab for the Google Meet so that you don't accidentally close it while you're going back and forth between the tabs or opening up a new tab. So I'm just going to start sharing my screen now. Okay, so to pin your Google Meet tab, what you're going to do is you're going to right-click on the tab. You're going to navigate towards the tab, put your cursor on the tab, right-click, or if you're on a Mac, it's double finger tap, and then you see a drop-down menu up here. Oops. And then you're going to click on Pin. So that's going to get rid of that little X so that you don't accidentally close the Google Meet tab while you're also following along, either on your Edsby platform or opening up a Google app. Okay, so the first topic is how to create a Google Meet and then post it within Edsby. So we all know that Edsby is an asynchronous learning platform, and it doesn't have any synchronous learning tools built in. So what we need to do is leverage these gaps, these Google apps, in order to support synchronous learning within Edsby. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go open up the Google Meet app. So if you're already logged into Google Chrome, you'll see that your Google account login is there if you hover over to the right, and you'll see the waffle icon, the Google Apps icon. If you click that, you'll see a drop-down menu, and then you can access Google Meet that way, and then you'd click that. If you're not logged into Google Chrome, what you'll need to do is open up the Google Chrome browser, log into your YRDSB GAPS account, and then access Google Meet that way. You can also access the Google Meet by just typing in meet.google.com. Okay? So that's how you access the Google Meet page. That's the very first step. The next step is to actually create the Meet. So we're not going to be creating a Meet using the link. So a lot of you may be using Google Meet to collaborate with colleagues or for staff meetings or whatnot. And we're not going to be creating Meets that way for students, just for security reasons. So we're going to be creating a Meet using a nickname. So what you're going to do is click on Join or Start a Meeting. And then in this text field, you're going to create a nickname for your Meet. So usually I would enter my last name. So my last name is So. The date of the Google Meet, I'm going to put June 10th, and then the subject. So it's up to you what you want your nickname to be. I've had other teachers use reading groups. So it could be Red Reading Group, June 10th, or it really depends on what you want the nickname to be. And then just put the subject. So it's last name, date, subject. Sorry, I'm going to put language, and then continue. So once you click continue, you're going to be in the lobby. This is called the lobby, where students and anyone else who joins the Google Meet, they'll be waiting in the lobby to join. So once you're in the lobby, you can either turn off your camera and mute your mic before you join the Google Meet. And after you've done that, you can join the Google Meet by clicking on Join Now. So when you join and you're testing it out, you'll notice that you have this pop-up window up here. Please ignore this, because you're not going to be using this link here, this URL that's shown here. You're not going to be sharing that with students, or even for yourself. You're not going to be using that. So when you log into Google Meet, you're going to be using the nickname yourself, as well as the students, as well as anyone else you share this Google Meet with. So ignore this, and you're just going to click on the X. So now you're in the Google Meet. You can have a colleague join to test it out. Give your colleague the nickname to join, so they would go use the same process to get in. Just remember that you have to be the first one in the Google Meet in order for it to, for your students to join. If you're testing it out with a colleague, please ensure you're the first one to enter, because then the Google Meet will end up being owned by your colleague. So if it's 2 teachers in there, whoever is the first teacher to be in there will own the Google Meet. But if it's with students, the students will not be able to enter unless you're in the Google Meet. And then please make sure that you're also the last to leave, so the Google Meet will expire. Okay, so that's how you create the Google Meet. Now I'm going to exit the Google Meet by just clicking on the Leave Call button. Okay, the next thing you want to do is, after you've created that Google Meet, you're going to post this information into Edsby. Now, you don't have to put it into Edsby. You can either communicate this information via email if that's how you've been communicating with your parents. But because this is about communicating information within the Edsby platform, I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'm just going into the teacher's demo account, and I'm going to either choose to post this Google Meet information into my classroom activity feed, which will show up in the parents' recent activity feed on the home page, or I'm going to post it in the evidence of learning, which will show up in the learning story for the parents and students. So when I post it into the classroom activity feed, I'm going to choose a class that I'm going to post it in. So I could go into my homeroom class, my language class, doesn't really matter. I'm going to go into my homeroom class. As you can see, I already have the Google Meet posted. To do this, I just type in the information into this text field here and then click share. So this information, you can actually, if you would like a template of that, you can find it from our teacher checklist for using Google Meet within Edsby. This also gives you step-by-step instructions on how to create a Google Meet and post it in Edsby. So there is a sample of this text if you would like to copy and paste it in that checklist. So I'm just going to copy and paste the Google Meet information. Go back to my Edsby class, paste it into this text field. Okay, and then I'm going to click share. And there it is. So the Google Meet information includes the date, the time, what the parents and students need to prepare for the Google Meet, as well as steps for logging in. So parents will go to Google Meet, they'll sign in using their children's GAPS email addresses, and then they'll join by using a nickname. So the things that you'll need to provide to the parents are the children's GAPS email addresses and their passwords, which should not be shared through the Edsby platform, more specifically through the class activity feed or the learning story. So if you're going to share that private information, please do so over a phone call or an email or even Edsby messaging. But please do not share it through the class activity feed or the learning story. So that's how you post it in the class activity feed. To post it into the learning story, you would create a new piece of evidence. So I could either do it going into my classroom, clicking on evidence, and then creating a new evidence that way. And then I would click on the students that I want to participate in the Google Meet. Click next. Click on write an observation. Post the Google Meet information here. Click done. And then the important step is share with student and parent. If I click that and save, then it is posted for all my students. Now, the difference between posting it in the evidence of learning versus the class activity feed, the class activity feed, it will go to everyone in the class. So if you're doing a class session for Google Meet, then yes, you would post it in the class activity feed. But if you want to just do it for groups of students, either a reading group or you just want to touch base with a specific group of students, use the evidence of learning to share that Google Meet information. You can also do one-on-one conferencing by sharing that information with just a specific student through the evidence of learning. So the parents would access that Google Meet information through the learning story. So if you just go to a specific student, they'll see that Google Meet information posted there in their learning story. So I'm going to stop here. It is 1:15. I'm just going to be minding the schedule for today. And if there's any questions from from our chat, please feel free to ask. Or if anyone from our team has any questions that they think would be important to share with everyone, please do so.
Hi, Susan. Would you just one time for the group, just to go over the settings around when a teacher leaves the Meet, like what happens if a teacher leaves the Meet before the students? If you can just explain those little those rules around leaving the Meet and who has access at different times, I think the group would appreciate that. Sure.
So if a teacher leaves the Meet before the student, that Google Meet will not expire. So that means that the students can go into that Meet at any time and continue to use that Meet. So it's very important that teachers stay in the Meet until every single student has left. And then once the teacher leaves that Google Meet, it will expire, meaning that the student will not be able to go back and open up that Google Meet and use it by themselves. Is there any other questions?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yesterday we did a practice run with our FTK team, and I was the host of the meeting, but my Wi-Fi kept going down, so I'd have to leave the meeting. And then I would rejoin it. So if that were to happen with students, as long as I rejoin it and wait till they all leave, is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, hi. My question is, so this is a real-time live meeting, or is it like you put a specific time for them to meet? How does it exactly work?
So it is real live time meeting. Just because you post it doesn't mean that it's going to go live when you post it. It's scheduled. So you're going to give the parents and the students a time and date. So when you create the meeting ahead of time, it doesn't mean that it's starting, that it's going to happen. You're going to have to go in and open up the Meet for everyone to come in. So it is a live, real-time meeting, but you're just creating all the necessary steps in order to set it up for that to happen.
I see. Okay. So I would create the meeting, make sure that it's timed, and I will share it with parents. And then when it's going to be time, we will join together at a specific time.
Correct. So some things that you'll probably need to do, and this is, you'll see this, it is gone over in the teacher checklist. So this teacher checklist just goes over step by step what you need to do. If you get to step 4 and 5, this is a little bit of like sort of pre-work that you'll need to do in order to have the parents prepared to have their kids logged in to access the Google Meet. So it's not just about setting up the Google Meet itself, but you'll also need to get in touch with the parents and share the students' GAPS email information as well as their passwords, because they won't be able to access the Google Meet through their parents' Gmail accounts.
Hi, Susan.
Hi.
Hi, sorry. Thank you so much for sharing all this great information.
No
So
problem.
typically, as far as I'm aware, kindergarten students do not actually have their own Google accounts. And correct me if I'm wrong, they don't use that typically in the classroom. So excuse my ignorance, but how does all this unfold in terms of providing parents? I guess the parents would get, or is there a password for every student in Google, regardless that they're in kindergarten, and they would be able to access what you're sharing with us today? That's my first part. And the other part is, would you be kind enough to share the sample teacher checklist that you are referring to so that we can go back to it after, for those of us that are just starting to set up to follow your checklist?
Sure. So I'm just going to answer the teacher checklist one.
Sure,
so
thank you.
Checklist, members from our team will drop that in the chat for everyone. We'll also be sending an email, a follow-up email to everyone with the resources that are going to be shared today. So that's the teacher checklist question. And then in terms of the Google, the GAPS email, so regardless if your students are in kindergarten, everyone at the school, all students are assigned a GAPS email address along with the password. For teachers to access that information, there is a link that's in the teacher checklist. It's step number 4. Teacher gets students' YRDSB GAPS login information. So it says to access the student numbers and passwords, teachers can use these instructions. So if you click on this link, it will take you to instructions on how to access the student emails and passwords through the BWW. So
that's really great. Thank you. And is that okay and safe to put that information when we send a private message to parents one by one? This is your username and password.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
It doesn't have, when you access this, it won't have the email address. It just says student number and password. The email address is the student number at gaps.yrdsb.ca. So if you go back to your teacher checklist, there is a sample email that you can access. So if I just click on, it's under step number 5 on the teacher checklist. I'm going to click on email to parents that you can share with parents, and it just shows the email address, their password, and the nickname. So I'm going to now go on to the next topic because we are at 1:22 and I should be in the Google Chat section of our schedule for today. So to post a Google Chat, to create a Google Chat, you're going to do the same thing by opening up the Google Chat app. So if you're already logged in to Google Chrome, what you're going to do is you're going to access the Google Chat app by either clicking on the waffle and accessing Google Chat through that way. Or you can type in your address bar, chat.google.com, okay? So because I've already started a Google Chat with my colleagues, I will have all this information, all these chats already opened. If you haven't, it will be empty. So there's 3 types of ways to create a Google Chat. You could create a Google Chat by starting an individual chat with one student. To do that, you're going to click on Find People, Room, and Bots. From there, you're going to type in the student's name, or if you're going to start a chat with a teacher, you can type in the teacher's name. So I'm going to just type in someone's name, and then I'm going to, that name is going to pop up. I'm going to click on it. And then because I've never started a chat before with this person, I'm just going to create and start a chat from here. Hello, Tisha. Welcome to the chat. And then I'm going to click send message. And then it starts a chat. So as you can see at the top in the address bar, it created a chat link. So unlike the Google Meet where I told you not to use the link and share that or use it for yourself, for the Google Chat, you're going to be using this link. This is the link that you're going to use to copy and paste into Edsby. Okay, so it creates a unique link for each of the chats you create. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to, you can either create a group chat or you can create a room. So a group chat is for a group of students that you're working with. Either it could be like a reading group or a group that you want to do a math conference with. So to create a group, you do the same thing, But from here, you click group message, and then you would type in the students' names. So I'm going to create a group with Jamai, Stephanie, and Tisha. And then I'm going to click message. And then it starts a chat. So I'm going to just type in the message, welcome everyone. Click send message. Okay, and then it started a chat with these specific individuals. Again, this is the link at the top in your address bar. It created a unique link. And you're going to share this and post this into Edsby. Okay? The third type of chat or chat room you're going to be creating is a chat room. So to create a chat room, you're going to click on person, room, or bot again, and then you're going to click on create room. When you do this, you're going to be naming a room. So instead of seeing the students' names listed, you're going to see the name of the room. So for this one, I'm just going to say it is my pink reading group. Okay, and then I'm going to create. Please do not click allow people outside your organization to join. Then people outside of the YRDSB GAPS domain will be able to join this group if they have the link. So please do not click this. Click create. Okay, and then from here, you're going to add people. So I can add Tisha, Jamai, Jeff, Stephanie. So they're part of my pink reading group. And then it says notify people via email. If you check this, they will receive this notification in their GAPS email. And then click send. Okay, and then from there, you can start a new thread, start a new conversation. You'll see that the messaging field is not there with this one. You have to actually create a new thread. Oh, someone's already sent a message. So Jeff has sent me a message already because he's been notified that I added him to the pink reading group chat room. So again, if you look at the top part, you'll see the address, the URL, and that is what you're going to be sharing in Edsby. So you just copy and paste this link into Edsby. So I'm going to go into Edsby, and again, 2 ways to share this chat in Edsby. You can either post it into your class activity feed, and usually that's for everyone in the class because everyone will see it in their recent activity feed. So that's for a chat with everyone in the class. Or you can post it in the evidence of learning by either clicking on the new evidence button from your home page, or you can access the evidence of learning by clicking into the class, clicking on evidence, and clicking on new evidence that way, and then selecting students. So when you're sharing it through the evidence of learning, if you're doing a group chat, just select the specific students that you're going to have the chat with, and then share the link in the observation. So I'm going to go back, copy and paste this link, and then paste it here. Here is our chat room, pink reading group. And then you can schedule a time with your students or when you're going to be there. You can chat with them asynchronously. So, once you post something, they can access it at their own time. But if you want to do it in real time, just post a date. So on June 10th, we will be using this chat room to discuss the book we are reading. So at June 10th at 10 a.m. And then click done, share with student and parent, and save, and it will be posted in your learning story so that they can access this. You'll notice that it's not a live link. So if you want to create a live link where they can just click on it, go back and paste the link into using the link icon. So once you paste it in there, you're going to click submit, and it's going to create a live link for you. And there it is. So if it's a live link, then all parents and students need to do is click on the link, and it'll take them directly to the chat room. So I'm going to pause here and take any questions. If there are any in the chat.
Hi, I have a quick question.
Yes.
When I was fooling around and I was trying to enter my students' names to like add them to the chat, let's say they had a very common name. Is there any way to filter them out so we know which school they're from? Because there was like multiple of the same student name.
Yeah, so with that, you're going to have their last name as well. But if you
want, when the names match, I mean, then the only way to verify is through their student ID?
Yes.
Okay.
Unfortunately, yes. Any other questions? Okay, so I'm just going to be mindful of the time. It is 1:30 right now. So I'm just going to move on quickly to Google Docs. So if you wanted to collaborate with students using Google Docs, it is pretty much the same process, but you're going to have to enable share settings within your Google Docs, and that goes for Google Jamboard as well. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to create a Google Doc that you want to share. You can access your Google Doc once you've signed into Google Chrome, either through the waffle. So there's a Google Docs app right there in the drop-down menu. Or if you're in your Drive, you can open up a Google Doc from your Drive, click on the New button, and then open up your Google Doc there. So on your Google Doc, you can collaborate synchronously with your students. This activity is going to be called Pass the Story. Please add one sentence to this story. I will start the story. Okay. I'm going to title this doc as Pass the Story. And then after you've created your Google Doc and you want to share it, you're going to click on the share button and you're going to enable the share settings. So currently right now it says restricted only people added can open with this link. So what you want to do is change this, because all they can do is, we'll see what they can do. They can just view it. So what you want is you want students to be able to edit it. You want to give them edit access so you can collaborate together in real time on this document. So you're going to change this to editor. And it's updating. And it says anyone at York Region District School Board with this link can edit. And that's the setting that you want to choose. After you're done, please make sure you click done. Okay, now that you've enabled the share settings with this Google Doc, you can go back to your Edsby. So I'm going to go back into my Edsby platform. And I can either post it, again, in my class activity feed, which will show up in the parents' recent activity feed, or I can post it in the evidence of learning, which will show up in the students' learning story. So it's up to you where you want to post the Google Doc. So if it's for the entire class, I would recommend posting it into the homeroom, or sorry, into the class activity feed. So to show you how to do that is, I'm just going to type in on June 10th at 10 a.m., please access this Google Doc. We will be collaborating on a story together. Okay, use this link. And then I'm going to go back, click on share. And because you've already enabled the sharing access, it says edit, you're just going to copy link. So click on copy link. It says link copied. Go back to your Edsby and then paste that link there. And then I'm going to click share. And it will be posted in the class activity feed, which will show up in the parents' recent activity feed. It is very slow today. Okay, there we go. So there, and if the parents click on this, they will be able to access the Google Doc and collaborate. The students can collaborate with the teacher on the specific date and time that was scheduled. You could do this exact same thing. Sorry, I'm just gonna copy and paste this and do it in the evidence of learning. So I'm just gonna create a new piece of evidence. I wanna share it with just a group of students. Click next, put it in the write an observation, paste. Okay, oh, the link's not coming up, so I'm gonna go back, copy the link again, so copy link, go back to your Edsby, paste, and then click done. Again, when you're posting it into your evidence of learning, it's not going to be a clickable link. So you're going to have to click it, add it to add a video or link, and add it there so that they can just click it and it'll take them directly to the document. And then here's the very important step, share with student and parent. Click that and then save. And then here is the link. So once they click on that link, it'll take them to the Google Doc. So I'm gonna stop here. It's 1:35 and take any questions if anyone has any.
There's
Thanks,
one question.
Susan.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Stephanie.
I was just going to say, thanks, Susan. There is a question here, and Natalie, I might need you to clarify a bit. How to make sure that 2 or 3 teachers in the same classroom can be part of the chat or Google Meet or else?
Yeah, because usually in kindergarten there is a DC and there's a teacher and there's maybe a music teacher. How can they all participate, like in this whatever we share?
Okay, good question. So that would look different for each of the different synchronous learning tools. For Google Meet, it's just as simple as just sharing the nickname, right? So if you have a DC or a prep teacher joining you and supporting you during that Google Meet session, just give them the nickname and tell them to go to meet.google.com or whatever way they're going to access that Google Meet app, and then just enter the nickname and they're in there. So that's with Google Meet. Google Chat, you're going to add their names to whatever chat that you create. So I'll just quickly give you an example of that, what that would look like. If you're in Google Chat and see here how I've already created a group chat with these 3 people, okay? You can add and you can view members and add them. So click on the blue button and you can add people as you go along.
Sure.
So that's how you would add your DC or a teacher who's going to support you. And with the Google Docs, what you're going to do is you're going to share the Google Doc with your DC or prep teacher, either through that link that you shared with your students, or you can actually share it directly. So you click on the share button, and here it says add people or groups. You're just going to directly add that DCE's name, and then their name will pop up, and just click done. And so they also have direct access to that Google document.
Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions? Okay, so it's 1:38, so I'm just going to quickly now move on to Google Jamboard, and then we'll just wrap that up with a Q&A at the end. Okay, so Google Jamboard, very similar to what I showed you with Google Docs. We're going to open up a Google Jamboard. Again, if you're already logged into Google Chrome, access the Google Jamboard through the waffle. Oh, I don't see Jamboard. Oh, there it is. So you can access the Google Jamboard that way and create a new Jamboard by clicking on the plus button here. Or you can go into your Drive and access your Jamboard by clicking on New and selecting Jamboard. Okay, so once that you've opened up your Jamboard, you're going to create an activity for your students to do during that synchronous session. It can be like a sorting activity. So you're going to sort name a living thing and a non-living thing. Use the sticky note to add and sort to this page. Okay, so there's my instructions. So living thing, and then non-living thing. Okay, so there's my activity that I want my students to do synchronously on that specific date and time when I'm going to all meet them in this Google Jamboard. So I've set this up. I'm going to title it living thing versus non-living. Okay, and then to share, very similarly to the Google Docs, you're going to click on the share button. And then down here, you're going to click on change link to York Region District School Board. You're going to click on that. Right now it's set as viewer. What you want to do is you want to set it to editing. So editor, it's updating it, and then you're going to click done. So anyone at York Region District School Board with this link can edit. And then you click done. Okay, so if you have a DC or a prep teacher that you would like for them to support you with this activity, again, just go to share and then add them to this document, this Jamboard. So I've added Stephanie, okay, and then she's going to get a notification that she's been added to this Jamboard. Okay, and then what you're going to do is you're going to go back to your Edsby platform, and you can either post it in your classroom activity feed for the entire class, or you can post it into your evidence of learning for specific groups of students, the entire class, or an individual student. So I'm going to post it into my class activity feed. I'm going to say on June 10th at 10 a.m. we will be collaborating using Google Jamboard. See you then. Use. Okay, so to get the link, you're going to go back to your Google Jamboard. Oh, and there is Steph already working on the Google Jamboard. I'm going to click on share, and I'm going to click copy link because I've already changed the sharing permissions to edit. So I'm going to copy link. It says link copied. Go back to my Edsby, and then I'm going to paste that link, and then I'm going to click share. And there it is. There's the link, and on June 10th at 10 a.m., my students will click that link, and it'll take them to this Google Jamboard where we can all collaborate on this activity. If you wanted to share with a specific student or a group of students, I recommend that you do it through your evidence of learning. So again, to create a piece of evidence, click on new evidence, select your students, click next, go write an observation. You're going to put your activity here. So use this link on June 10th at 10 a.m. Okay, go back to my Google Jamboard. I'm going to copy this link, go back to my Edsby, and paste it. So with the thing with evidence, in the new evidence tool, it's not a clickable link. It's not going to be a live link. So you're going to use add a link or video tool. Click there, paste the link there, click submit, and then it's going to create a live link. Share with student and parent, very important step, and then click save. And there it is. So when parents go in, they want to access this Google Jamboard on June 10th at 10 a.m. They click on the link, and it'll take them to the Google Jamboard for their students, for their children to collaborate with synchronously with the teacher. I'm going to take any questions if there are any in the chat.
Thanks, Susan. There's a question around if this evidence will be shared with parents or students, or will all other evidence be shown? It looks like this teacher does not share evidence with students or parents.
So when you share a piece of evidence, it's for the specific students for that specific post. So it's not like the whole evidence stream is being shared to everyone in your class. So I'll show you what it looks like. So that piece of evidence, I've only shared it with specific students. So you see it says Gwendolyn, Katie, Sandra, Gladys, and Gregory. Those are the only students who will see this in their learning story. So if I go to learning story and I click on a student whose name was not there, so Lillian, if I click on Lillian, she won't have that Google Jamboard post in her learning story. It's only the students that I've shared it with who will be able to access the learning story, that piece. So it's for the specific piece of evidence. It's not the whole, your evidence stream that's going to be posted for everyone to see.
I have a question.
Yes.
On Google Classroom, we post things all the time, and then, you know, the stream gets really long and things, you know, go all the way down there. So will that happen with Edsby as well, or we should use it more conservatively?
So I'm not quite sure. Oh, if you could just repeat.
So right now, you know, we have topics on Google Classroom, literacy, math, all kinds of topics, right? But if the child hasn't been on for a week, they have to scroll down to find what they missed.
Yes.
Okay. So
yeah. So in Edsby, it's the very similar sort of structure. With the most recent post being at the top, and then they would have to scroll down to find task posts. I don't know. I guess there is no way to actually organize that. What you could do is you can pin items, but that would only work if you have parents accessing your classroom. Then they would see those pin items to the left-hand side where you can bring it to their attentions. But yeah, there's not really a way to organize it. It's just how it's structured in Edsby. Just depend, yeah.
if Google Classroom is working,
I have a question.
Relatively, sorry, go ahead.
I have a question. When we create a link for the Google Meet, and I'm wondering, I'm using a Google Classroom, and I posted on a classroom, and the parents, they are from the outside the YRDSB, and they were asking to attend. I denied that at first time because I'm not sure if I'm allowed or not. But you told me put it on Edsby. Is there any privacy issue because there's going to be other kids in the meeting too, and if the parents are in the meeting too, or is kind of a privacy breach or something, or it's okay?
So if you're posting the Google Meet in Google Classroom, students should be able to, well, if parents are logging in for their children, they should be able to access that Google Meet without having to bypass all the login at the beginning with the GAPS, YRDSB GAPS account. So if you're posting it through Google Classroom, it's a separate process. The way that I've been showing you is how to set up a Google Meet outside of Google Classroom, so using a nickname. So when you're using a nickname, parents will have to use their children's GAPS accounts to log in to access the Google Meet. Otherwise, there's no way they can actually use the nickname and enter the Google Meet. With Google Classroom, though, because they've already logged into Google Classroom and they're accessing Google Meet that way, they'll probably have bypassed all that. But if, again, like you said, they're actually trying to get in using their personal Gmail account, I would not grant them access just because you can't be too sure. So I would just give a reminder to the parents that they need to be using their children's GAPS accounts to access the Google Meet. I hope that answered your question. No problem. So I just wanted to say that with Google Meet and Google Chat,
Thank you. Asking questions and stuff, because in classroom setting, we are not allowed to let the parents come in unless we have a consent from the other parents.
Hello. You're cutting in and out. I'm just going to try to infer what you were asking. So I think you have concerns around other parents seeing other children in the Google Meet. If that's the case, you can have the students turn off their cameras and only use their audio to interact with yourself and with one another. That can be an option. But if you still have concerns about other parents hearing the students' responses, then a way around that would be doing one-on-one conferencing if you want to support synchronous learning, and if that's something.
And Jatinder, I'm not sure what grade you have, but theoretically, if it's a grade 1 student and the parents are helping them to log in, they might hear some conversations as they're helping their child access the Google Meet. So we just want to communicate that to parents as they're helping their child, especially at the younger primary grades, because they might have difficulties logging in and so on and so forth. So if a parent does tell you like that concern, then like as Susan was saying, it's probably best that you meet with that child at a different time, because we're finding that the earlier students are having difficulty at first doing it alone and their parents are there or whoever's there helping them. So we can't really tell them to, like it's inevitable that they're going to hear. So just make people aware that it's for the students only, and please, once you've like kind of helped them get on, then please respectfully go get off, kind of thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And just to piggyback off of Jeff's point too, synchronous doesn't necessarily mean it has to be like live with like a Google Meet. It could be one of the other options that Susan presented, like Jamboard. That could, again, if you have that type of concern, that could be something that you could do. Also, you could also have students working in separate groups, maybe not as in a full class, working on a particular doc or slides or any of those Google tools, if you have those particular concerns.
Thank you.
I'm also going to drop in the chat right now a helpful resource around documenting and sharing learning in the early years, K-3, and it's using online learning platforms, so Edsby, Google Classroom, and there is a new section that we added to the resource around using Google Meet, so how it can be used with primary families, and as well it has some of the suggestions and recommendations that have been shared today.
Perfect. Thanks, Stephanie and Jemai and Jeff. So there's other resources that I would like teachers to consult before using Google Meet and Google Chat. There's a how-to guide for Google Chat as well as a how-to guide for Google Meet. And in there are some parameters of use and considerations and appropriate use. Things that we should be aware of before we're using those two synchronous learning tools. So if everyone can actually just go over those two guides just before you use those two tools with your students, it would be extremely to your benefit. Oh, and there is one other resource I wanted to mention. On the Learning and Caring Plan, there is a synchronous learning document or slide deck, and it will give you ideas on how to use the other Google apps for synchronous learning. For example, Google Docs, Google Slides, Google Jamboard, and it'll give you ideas on how to use those tools to support synchronous learning with your students. So if someone from our team can drop that in the chat.
Just really quickly before everyone leaves, I just reposted a different link for the Google Meet. I know that one wasn't working. And Jemai has just linked in our feedback form for this session. So if you don't mind just taking a few minutes to just fill that out, it just helps us to inform other professional learning opportunities that we'll be providing as a team. It'd be greatly appreciated. If you don't have any questions or any concerns, if you don't kindly mind, please leaving the Google Meet, or if you want to ask a question or two, you can just pop it into the chat and one of us will answer it. But if you don't have any other questions, we'd ask you to kindly leave the meet. Thank you.
So we want to thank everybody for coming.
Yeah, this is just an email quick